The first time I saw Noor Mosque, it was almost sunset. The light in Sharjah that evening was soft, a warm gold, fading slowly into the gentle blue of the lagoon. The city was quiet, but the call to prayer, Adhan, echoed from a distance, traveling over the still water. That sound always touches something deep inside me. It's not just a reminder of prayer, but a reminder of peace, a moment when everything in the world seems to stop and listen. I stood across the Khalid lagoon, camera in hand, and watched the two slender minarets rise toward the sky. Between them, the grand Ottoman-style dome reflected the golden light of dusk. From far away, the mosque looked like a painting, delicate, balanced, almost unreal. But as I got closer, every step revealed more detail, more life, more meaning. The Noor Mosque isn't the largest in the UAE. It doesn't try to be. It's not surrounded by towering skyscrapers or futuristic glass. Instead, it sits gracefully by the lagoon, surrounded by palm trees and quiet walkways. Feels like time slows down here, like the mosque is holding a secret, one that only reveals itself if you stay long enough to listen. When I finally reached the entrance, I took off my shoes, feeling the cool marble beneath my feet. The scent of incense and faint perfume lingered in the air. The doors were tall, wooden, carved with geometric patterns, a hallmark of Ottoman architecture. I looked up and saw the intricate arabesque motifs decorating the arches. Each one was perfectly symmetrical, yet every detail felt human, a reminder that faith is built by hands, one pattern at a time. Inside, the space opened up like a whisper. The main prayer hall glowed softly under the chandeliers, hundreds of small crystals catching the light like stars suspended from heaven. The walls, painted in soft cream and gold, were lined with Quranic calligraphy, written with such care that even the curves of each letter seemed to breathe. There was silence, the kind that humbles you. It wasn't emptiness, but fullness. You could almost hear your own heart beating, matching rhythm with the distant murmur of the sea outside. As I walked further inside, I noticed how the light from the stained glass windows changed with every minute. At first it was bright gold, then it shifted to pink, and finally a quiet blue as the sun sank. The marble floor reflected those colors, turning the hall into a living painting, one that changed with time and prayer. I sat in a corner and just watched. People came in quietly, men, women, families. Some locals, some visitors like me. A little boy held his father's hand, both barefoot, both smiling. They stood side by side as the call to prayer began again. The voice of the muezzin filled the hall, deep, resonant, calm. At that moment, it didn't matter what language you spoke or where you were from. Everyone understood the same feeling, the stillness of faith, the unity of silence. I remember thinking, this mosque, though small compared to the Grand Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Abu Dhabi, carries the same spiritual gravity. Maybe it's because it feels alive. It's not just a monument. It's part of the heartbeat of Sharjah. Outside, the night had fallen. The mosque lights turned on, soft golden tones illuminating the dome and minarets. Across the lagoon, their reflection shimmered on the surface like a twin world beneath the water. I took a slow walk along the edge, hearing the sound of waves and the distant laughter of families enjoying the evening. Sharjah is often called the cultural soul of the UAE, and in that moment I understood why. It's a place where the modern and the traditional coexist not by force, but by grace. Later, I met one of the caretakers, a kind old man with a gentle voice. He told me, every day, hundreds come here not just to pray, but to feel peace. You don't have to be Muslim to understand what peace feels like. It's something everyone seeks. I nodded, because that's exactly what I felt, not as a visitor, not as a tourist, but as a human being trying to understand the meaning of stillness in a world that never stops moving. The Noor Mosque was built in 2005, inspired by the famous Blue Mosque of Istanbul. You can see the resemblance, the symmetry, the multiple domes, the ornate detailing. But there's something softer about Noor. It reflects the personality of Sharjah itself. Scholarly, calm, deeply spiritual. Unlike Dubai, which shines with ambition and glass, Sharjah glows with quiet confidence. The mosque mirrors that, a light not meant to dazzle, but to guide. At one point I sat again under the dome, looking up. The chandelier above me looked like a sun made of glass. Around it, the arches framed intricate calligraphy, verses speaking about mercy, patience, and gratitude. And I realized architecture in places like this is not just about beauty. It's about belief. Every curve, every column, every pattern is an expression of devotion. When the prayer ended, people stayed seated, not rushing, out not checking their phones, just breathing. A man next to me smiled and offered a quiet salam. I replied, and in that simple exchange, the whole meaning of this place became clear to me. Peace, connection, presence. As I stepped outside, the air was cooler now. The wind carried the faint scent of the sea. Behind me, the mosque glowed, a white silhouette under the indigo sky. It looked almost ethereal, as if floating between heaven and earth. I walked along the promenade, hearing the sound of the adhan from another mosque in the distance. The city was alive but calm. I thought about how, in a world full of noise and hurry, there are still places like this, sanctuaries where the heart can rest, even for a moment. And maybe that's what Noor Mosque really is, not just a place of worship, but a place where silence speaks, where beauty is not in grandeur, but in grace, where faith, no matter what form it takes, reminds us that peace begins the moment we slow down and listen to the call, to the wind, to our own hearts. As I looked back one last time, I whispered to myself, this is what stillness feels like.